All right. Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a while since I've recorded something new. It's just that busy season of my life with sports and tennis, and Hudson's getting ready to graduate. So I was able to get some new material for us tonight. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that I did right and some of the things that I did wrong during my 23 years of building this business. And this actually came to me on my long flight back from Hawaii. I was thinking of what I would have changed, certain things that I would have changed. I'm like, oh, this will be a great topic. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off by saying the right things I did. And when I wrote it all out, I realized that a lot of the things that I did right eventually came from things that I did wrong. And Mary Kay has a quote that says, I should never try to quote her anymore because I don't have the memory.
Oh,
Um, if you do things with the right
why you
attitude,
slap me?
uh-oh, uh-oh. Is that Melissa and her dog?
Yes, that was my dog. I leaned over and the dog slapped me. Sorry, I thought I was muted.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Um, hey, it was good because I couldn't remember Mary Kay's quote. I'll have to text you guys. Um, if you do it with the right attitude is the gist of it. All right. First and foremost, the one thing that I did right was the minute I signed my Mary Kay agreement, and my starter kit was on the way, I threw out everything out of my cosmetic graveyard. I got rid of all the brand X products. Even before my Mary Kay arrived, um, I got rid of it all, and I was all in. I was all in. So many times I hear people say, "Oh, well, I haven't tried that because I had just bought something else and I'm using it up." And I'm like, Ugh. What I know is that, and what I've experienced is that, we see people come and go. Okay, people come into to Mary Kay. We say this for a season, a reason, or a lifetime, or sometimes they just come in to bring you a great recipe, right? I've added that one myself. But the people that leave, if they don't ever use the product again and stay a personal use consultant, because let's be honest, sometimes this just is not for everybody. And sometimes some really great people leave, but they continue to use the product. They continue to service their family, friends, or the few customers they have. And that's amazing. But it always shocked me the ones that leave and they never even order the product for themselves again. You guys, to get this product, this quality of product, which my husband says is the best product in the whole world. That's the one thing that Mary Kay has going for us is that we have an amazing product to sell. And not get it and continue to use it for a lifetime and to get it for 50% off. What that tells me is that person never used the product. And I can't tell you how many times I would sit down with consultants over the years that may have been struggling with their sales and couldn't really get their sales up at their parties. And the first thing I would ask them is, are you using the product? Because I can always tell when a new person comes in after about 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. I can see the difference on their skin. I can tell you if they're using the product. The transformation is real. And when I don't see that transformation, I know that they're not going to last, because they're not using the product. This product sells itself. And when you get the results that I've gotten, I know that many of you've gotten over the years, you can't help but to shout it from the rooftop, right? And so that all in, I was all in from day one. Okay. I fought, second thing, and I'm going to lose count. I already know this. I fought to hold an appointment each week, some kind of appointment, whether it was a facial, a double facial, a hand facial, on the go appointment, a skincare party. Probably for the first 8 years, I fought for and I still hold an appointment with, or either for myself or for helping someone each week, at least one. And you guys know I've always said if you can have anything you want in Mary Kay if you will consistently hold 2 appointments a week. 2 appointments a week for 6 months to a year, you can have anything you want. That said, that That creates your foundation. That foundation becomes solid and it will pay you for a lifetime. Okay. Moving on. Number three, I went to all my training, went to every training, all my training. Um, I, until I felt like I had mastered. I still go. I still go to seminar. I still go to training. I We still go. This was our what up until COVID. We went to career conference every single, every spring, leadership every fall up until every winter up until uh, COVID, and so the training, and I also always listen to training CDs, constantly pouring in, pouring in, pouring in, motivating knowledge. Knowledge is power. Um, I worked on me. I read books. I learned how I thought, how I best worked, what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were. Um, I was a hot mess. Okay, we're going to talk about that. um, I got locked in. Once I figured it out, I didn't change it. So when I was unorganized. We're gonna touch on that in just a second. And I was a very unorganized person, and it took me about 7 years to realize that I needed to have a Mary Kay bag, and that bag never changes. Like, it has everything from my skincare class in it that I keep in there, and I get it out, I put it back in. And as I go through my skincare party, I am packing, okay? I'm unpacking when I get there and I'm putting in an order from what I'm doing, from my closing sheets are at the bottom, so I don't close my sale until I get my referrals. And then under that closing sheet is my sales tickets. And I have them in order, and my laminated before and afters that I use. I have those in order of the skincare class. It took me 7 to 8 years to get that. Like, why? Why did it take me so long? You guys, I would come home, th empty out my bag, and before my next appointment, I would spend hours on the floor reorganizing it. Like, oh, I was a hot mess. My calendar was a mess. I had to figure out that I needed a calendar at a glance, okay, where I could see everything. And then I figured out I had to have a calendar, a dry erase board on the wall. And I needed to have a daily sheet on top of my notebook that I took with me everywhere. Or I've done that, or pages when we were even busier as a family. Now I can just get a sticky. It goes on the outside of my little notebook with my sales tickets, and I use the binders, the binder clips for sales that I have to deliver, checks that I need to deposit, if I need to collect. I have a system, and so big dry erase board, um, my calendar, and my little notebook folder, pocket folder with my sales tickets in there. Um, so that is my system. Like, I won't change. And so when I talk about being locked in, okay, when you figure you out, when you do you, okay, get locked in and don't change it. Because when you do go to these training events, seminars, career conferences, whatever, beach retreat, everybody is talking and teaching on different topics. But if you have a topic that you're sitting in and you know that it's working from you close your ears. Like, I am not going to change my skincare class. I am locked in. I am not going to change my calendar, the way that I keep myself organized daily. I am not going to change that. I am not going to color code anything. Been there, done that, wasted the money. That was not me. I am not going to color code every 30 minutes in my date book. That stressed me out. That is not who I am. It got me nowhere. I was not productive. Okay. And so when you figure you out and you get something that works for you, you're locked in. Close your ears when you do go to these training events and someone's talking about your daily activity. You're locked in. Don't listen. Somebody's talking about your skincare class. and you've got it locked in, don't listen. If you're a great recruiter and somebody's talking to you about what they're doing, don't listen, okay? If now, if somebody's got a piece of material that I'm like, "Oh, that would be wonderful." I'll look at it, I'll process it, and I'll see if I can implement it into my skincare class. I'll tell you, Trinity had this cute little marketing thing that she had laminated, that she used at her skincare class. And I said, let me see that. And she sent it to me. And I put it on the back of my closing sheet. And now they can flip over. And this is the marketing. I love that. And I implemented that, I think, last year at Beach Retreat or something like that. Those are things that, so being locked in doesn't mean that you can't add something. It just means you're not going to wipe the slate clean and start all over. I did that in the beginning. And I would just start all over, waste money, materials, waste materials. And so these are things, the mistakes that I made that I learned from. Okay. Um, so being locked in, what were my weaknesses? I'm going to tell you my three weaknesses. And you got, because many of you have known me for a long time, you're going to say, Michelle, those are your strengths. And so I would be very proud for you guys to say that because I worked so hard to turn my weaknesses into my strengths. So I truly, this was a process of growing as a leader, as a businesswoman, so that I could be the best director that I could be. So I was constantly working on me. Hmm. Here's my three things that I was really not good at. Money management. I cannot tell you how many times I had to repurchase and rebuild my inventory. I would get it down to I didn't even have an eyeliner. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? So let's talk about money for a second. I had never been trained on the 80/20. And it wasn't until, oh my gosh, I don't know how far in it was, mm, 2007, 2008, 2008. So I earned my Cadillac once I figured it out. 2008, I said, enough's enough. I've got to figure out this money. And so I just talked to my director friends like, hey, how do you teach money? I could teach money, but I wasn't running my money right. Actually, no, 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 no. I learned the 80/20 when I became a sales director. So from 2002 to 2008, I could teach money, but I wasn't good at my running my money. And I would embezzle my inventory, have to restart, reinvest. And so I got very disciplined in 2008 when I was earning my Cadillac. And what I started to do, because I have to do things in that moment. And so when I would do let's say, okay, I got on full inventory, let's say I'm on full inventory, and I'm going to give myself my 60/40. 50 goes back into the company, 10% was uh, sample supplies. You keep that off to the side, and your uh, events and stuff like that. So I was keeping 40%. So I'd get a sales ticket, add it up, tell my customers what their total was. And then if it was a reorder, I would automatically calculate my 40%. And in another section, I would write if it was $100, a $100 product, I would say $40 goes to my savings account. And at the end of that week, I would roll that into my savings account and roll that in, roll that in, roll that in. And that was my paycheck for my sales. So I knew, when you can pay yourself amazing amount of money with your sales, even if you don't ever become a sales director. And so really like to the penny watching that money. Okay. Now that was, so my money management got better. Um, Selling. Oh gosh, I was in DIQ when I sold my first roll-up bag. We didn't have roll-up bags then. They were called something else, but they basically had the three pockets. They opened up it was like a little tote. It opened up and it had pockets that velcroed out, and you would put your sets in. I didn't know for a year and a half to sell sets. Like, that's the unit I went to didn't sell sets. It wasn't until my senior sales director came into town to help me get into DIQ that she showed me how she sold sets. And Roxanne was always on quarter sales. She knew how to sell this product. And once I saw it, I could, I was visual. I that next party, I sold, we call it a miracle, a roll-up bag. And I literally, when the customer said, I want the bag tote or whatever we called it, and I said, you do? I was horrible at selling. So I got good at selling. Now you guys know I average, oh my gosh, if I do a facial, easily 200, 250. I think it was like 254 last time I averaged my one-on-ones. Okay. Organization. I Oh gosh, my poor husband. He would come home and I'd be like, "Oh, bye. I'm going to a party." He's like, "Wait, you didn't tell me you had to work." So that's where the big dry erase board in the kitchen was born. Was mainly for my husband, and now it's like uh he's like, "What are we doing?" I said, "Look on the board." He said, "I don't ever look on that board." I'm like, "This board was created for you. Look on the board. Everything's on the board. All the kids stuff, all my work stuff, everything that we're doing is on this board." Love, love, love my organization stuff. So those three were my weaknesses, and now I feel like they're my strengths. Um, I trust the process. Okay. And so, like, when I went into DIQ the first time, or I missed DIQ, I didn't go in. I missed going into DIQ. I didn't have my 8 active. And I just kept working. And I went in the very next month. But I wanted to debut on stage as a sales director April 1 through, but that would only, you had to do it 3 to 4 months. I would have had to finish early. And I did. I set a goal and I just trusted the process. I stayed in the field. Um, and I didn't take rejection too seriously. I let things roll off my back. Rejection is God's protection. That I heard that early on, and I adopted that for myself. Like, you know what? If wrinkles to you is what I would say, but if somebody canceled on me or wouldn't book with me, I'm like, I figured God was saving me and protecting my time. Um, I learned that one appointment or person would not make or break my business. And you guys have heard that. You've heard me tell that story of how um, I had just picked up my first car and went to do a facial, and the lady was already drunk at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And one of my fears of starting a business like this was I didn't want people to be mean to me. I was afraid somebody was going to be mean to me and look down on me. And so here I was, a new sales director. Um, I got my first director. It was my first director car. Okay. So it was the Grand Prix, and arrived and she was already drinking. And you guys know I come from a background. My mom was an alcoholic. I don't do well with drunk people. No offense. I just don't do well with them. I go in zero from zero. I mount my broom. Let's just say that because we're recording. I mount my broom automatically. And it is what it is. I sat down, put out my stuff, and said, so happy that Cindy gave me, your name as a referral. And she goes, "Well, don't think I'm going to buy enough for you to get that Cadillac." And I slid my chair back, pushed my stuff. I leaned over in her face and I said, "You know what?" I said, "Why don't you sit back and relax?" I said, "Because I'm going to earn my Cadillac whether you buy anything or not. Now let's have a good time." And she was like, she bought $181. I'll never forget that. And why are you drunk at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you've got a bunch of Boy Scouts coming over to do their little Boy Scout race car? Shame on you. So from that point on, I walked out of there with my head held high, and I thought, no one will ever speak to me like that ever. I stood up for myself. I was proud of what I was doing. I knew God had called me to do it. And I knew that I had arrived. Like the one thing that I feared in this company, I had just faced it head on, and I tamed that beast. And so I mounted my broom and I swirled around the living room. All right. Now, so rejection is God's protection. One person or one appointment will not make or break you. So I didn't cry, but if you've got one appointment on your date book, you are going to cry because that you were banking on that. So, I early on, I didn't just have one appointment. I always had things coming down the pipeline. I was not going to put all my eggs in one basket. I always put God first, family second, career third. I learned that Mary Kay was just makeup and skincare, and that people's lives is what mattered most. I didn't get angry if someone said Mary Kay was not for them. I even had to say that to somebody. Um, I ran back into somebody, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you quit Mary Kay and you never even called me again." And she's like, "Well, I didn't think you you know, would want to talk to me." I'm like, "You were my friend. Like I got to know you. We were doing life together. This was not about me only being nice to you because you're in Mary Kay. I did life with people, whether they stayed in or left. People, it was the people that was most important, not the production." And so I think that's also what's helped me to stay very successful. I listened to, like I said, training CDs. I stayed motivated. I learned that just because someone was teaching didn't mean that they had all the answers. And so, or ideas that were the best for me. So that goes back to being locked in. When you're locked in, you close your ears. I learned that how I work best, talked about working on me, and that the type of calendar I use, what systems were best for me, my strength zone is in the morning. I do everything well in the morning. By after lunch, I'm done. I'm done. I can't, as far as, booking or things like that. Um, and then, of course, when I do my night appointments, that's fine. But that time from noon to 4, that was me prepping for my kids to come home from school, getting, making sure they were set for if I had to go work or if they had after school activities. And so mornings was my strength zone. So success, I learned that success looks different for everybody. Okay. I am not a national. I may not ever be a national. I don't care. I look at my 23 years and what I've done and the balanced life that I've had, and I feel successful. Okay. If it all goes away tomorrow, I have no regrets. I have been at everything my kids have done. I have I've done things for myself. You know, if I wanted to do it, I could slide it in because I had my schedule, a well-oiled machine. Like you guys know, I started milling my own bread, flour to bake all of Mary Beth's snacks because she's gluten free. And I mill her buckwheat because it's gluten free, and I make all her muffins, her pancakes, and her cookies. I've had to ease that in and learn how to cook for her, because that's what is going to help her grow with her having celiac disease. And so, with her getting healthy, I've been trying to get my family healthy. And because I'm a well oiled machine and I have my systems in place, I could learn everything I could about, what's nutritious, what's not nutritious. I took the time, and like Friday mornings, I can bake, because I've taken Friday mornings off. I can do all the baking for the weekend and for the week and get all of our bread made, um, because I have my systems in order and I'm present to the moment. And that is a phrase that I know Marianne and you guys have heard me say for years, is if I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. If I'm doing Mary Kay, I'm doing Mary Kay. If I'm baking my bread and all the stuff for my family, I'm baking my bread. And then, now I coach the tennis team for Hudson's varsity team and Mary Beth's middle school team. And so I was able to implement that because my systems are in order. Okay. Now, for years, I had to say no to things because I didn't have my systems in order, and my family needed me to make the kind of money that I make to be able to keep our kids in private schools. And so, getting your systems together, getting your life together means that you can have a fuller, more balanced life and say yes to those passions. The passions. I'm passionate about helping the tennis team. I love working with those kids. That's a whole nother ministry for me. That's new for me. I love baking the bread. I didn't think I would ever be happy or excited about nutrition and healthy living. I'm very passionate about that. I can say yes to that. I have always wanted to do that. I've known about milling and stuff for 20 something years. I heard the commercials, but I couldn't implement it into my busy schedule because I wasn't organized. And I have a guilt about that because I feel like I didn't get the nutritional things to Ryan and Riley. If you've ever been a mom and you've ever given your kids cookies and chips and stuff for lunch and you feel guilty, that was me. Every time I'd go to the grocery store, I feel like I'm poisoning my kids. So I felt like it was a calling, that it was a burden that God kept putting on my heart, but I kept saying no, no, no. But now I said yes, and what a blessing it is. And I feel like God's going to use me through my Mary Kay business to help even pass it along to my customers. And so enjoying the journey and getting your systems in order and knowing that success looks different for everybody. Success is an inside job. um, Being present to the moment. And um, well, here's some of the things. I'll go back. We got one more minute. um, I wanted to say this. Hold on. Oh, learn to laugh at yourself. Okay. Um, literally have a file, and you guys have heard some of my funny stories at Beach Retreat and things like that. But I keep a file. It's called a Night of Laughs because I've had so many fun friends that I've, gotten along the way, sales directors, consultants, and we've just been able to just not take ourselves too seriously and just enjoy the journey and laugh at yourself. You're going to make mistakes. It's makeup, and write it down and keep a journal of it like I have on a file. Um, and then so some of the things that I do regret spending the money on some of the studios that I've had, only because I love I love working in my basement. Now, there was a period of time where I did work out of here, and then the girls came and the boys moved downstairs, and I didn't have space. And I had to be in a studio, but there were certain studios that I just wish I'd never paid the money for. Um, I'd feel like I'd wait, and I don't like to waste money, but there were good times and good friends that I, met along the way. So to go back and say hindsight, those were good times. But from a money standpoint, I do love working in my home, but I am kind of a loner. And so being in those studios got me out. And now these, times are different. After COVID, everything changed. I don't know if anybody has a studio anymore or even does full meetings like we used to. I know in this area they're not. And I do my dinner and a makeover, and I love it. But I do regret some of the money that I wasted on certain things. Um, I regret some of the events I went to, like some of the booths. I just wish I would have checked it out more. And I felt like I was really good at checking out the booths, even the volunteer stuff. Like I did say no this week to a career day at school at one of the local schools. I did it last year, and it was a paycheck of the heart. I got nothing from it. Gave away, some samples and gift cards, and spent all, half a day talking, and I didn't really get anything from it. And I'm just really, really busy right now. And so I said no. I said no. I said, maybe next year. I just didn't, I just started praying about events more and just really saying, God, if you're telling me, if I'm feeling exhausted and I haven't even done it yet, then that might be something that I shouldn't do. And so I said no. And I felt relieved that I said no. And so just know that just because something is presented to you, it doesn't always mean it's from God, and it might not always be a door that's opening. It might just be a door that you really shouldn't go down. And don't regret, I don't regret, not being I don't regret not being on social media. I'll tell you that I know for a fact it's kept me very, crystal clear when it has helped me come up with my own ideas, and I know that Marianne can testify to this, that a lot of times I have an idea and I have no outside noise coming in, I'll come up with an idea, and then like a few weeks later, somebody's had got this idea, and I came up with it on my own. And so, and it came from years ago. I read a book by John Maxwell. It's called Thinking for a Change, and he talked about the one thing I got out of that book because his books are hard to read. I like easy reads, and his books are a little complicated. So a lot of times, I don't know that I've ever finished one of John Maxwell's books, unfortunately, but I get my nugget. And I know when I have my nugget. And a nugget that I had from that book was go into a quiet room, have your thinking room, and just think and think and think about your business and think about ideas. And that was what I took. And so for all these years, I think, it's just like I was on a plane for 10 hours and I didn't read. I was just thinking, thinking, thinking. And having that thinking time helps me to come up with ideas that are really great ideas. And sometimes they work for me, sometimes they turn to gold for other people. I guess that I served my purpose, but I don't regret not being on social media and listening to the noise and getting involved with all that because sometimes I see all those people on social media. They're like little hens. They're not eagles. They're like hens just pecking at, oh, let me run with that idea. Everybody's running with the same idea. Whereas if you just be an eagle and soar, you'll soar so much higher above the clouds than the hens pecking on the ground, with that same idea. And it always cracks me up because you guys, no matter, what kind of lipstick you put on that pig, it's always a skincare class. And I'm going to just end it right there because everything happens and everything comes from doing skincare classes. And no matter how you spin it, how you look at it, it's a skincare class. And so that is the good, the bad, the ugly, and how I got here 23 and a half years later. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that. So, all right, Marianne, I'm going to pause the recording and